Hi, everybody, and thanks so much for joining us on today's edition of Kinetic Newsmakers, talking about Campaign 2010 and the race for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. That's that district east of the river, as you may know. The incumbent is Congressman Courtney, and we have as our guest on the program today a Republican candidate who will run against him, seeking the Republican nomination, Daria Novak. Daria, thanks so much for coming in and being with us on our program.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
Do you have any opposition within the party, or is that the...
Yes,
there is another candidate?
We will have a convention coming up in May, and that will decide the nominee for the Republican Party at that time.
You have it's quite an impressive resume. And I made a couple of notes. You worked in the office in the Department of Secretaries of State,
yes,
as appointed by President Reagan. Also, you, in 1989, served as senior coordinator for the Secretary of State's China Task Force that took part in that handled that whole crisis in Tiananmen Square. And basically, you worked, traveling the country as a consultant, global business management, security issues, cross-cultural issues. So that's quite a background, and I've only named a few of them. But does that qualify you, do you think, to be in the Congress of the U.S.?
Well, I don't think that you need to be an attorney or a career politician to be in Congress. I think that I can be part of the solution. I'm not part of the problem. I don't think that you need to have a lifelong career where the government has paid you. I think it's actually better that I've been out there working for a living among the people, and just leading a normal life. I don't think that there's any secret to being a politician. I'm a mother of 2 children. I was born and raised in Connecticut, and even though I worked in D.C. for a long time, after my children were born, I brought them back to Connecticut because I wanted to raise them here. It's a great state. I love Eastern Connecticut. The people, the communities, the family, the churches. There's such a sense of belonging here. I had no intention of running for public office. I got call after call from friends and family from the eastern part of the state, the western, and calls came from out of state after last November's election telling me I had to run. As you mentioned, I'm qualified. I have those qualifications where I can handle myself in a crisis. I can manage large amounts of data coming in and people, and I'm rational. I'm not an extremist. And I think that's why people were calling me and telling me, you've got to run. So I think it's other people's urging me that really got me considering it. I don't know that the founding fathers or anybody else said that we have to be an attorney, we have to be a lifelong career politician that's out of touch with the people. I personally think that's what's wrong.
How about Congressman Courtney, Joe Courtney? Now, he's been in there a couple of terms. How about his voting record?
In this campaign, I am very serious. I intend to run a very clean campaign going after Joe Courtney on the issues, on his votes. And what I think is wrong about his voting record is that he is out of touch with the people in the 2nd District. We don't want more government interference in our lives, excessive government spending, over-regulation of business, things like that. And when you look at his voting record, he's voting for these big spending packages without, I think, a lot of consideration. As a matter of fact, about a week or 2 ago on his own website, he took a poll in which he asked his constituents, do you think that you will be better off with this health care legislation, the same or worse off? And the latest results that I saw said that over 84% of his constituents felt we will be worse off with this legislation. Yet he ignores us. We, the people, should be the rulers. When he was in Washington a few months ago, I believe it was the Ways and Means Committee, he said that Washington was the ruler of the people. He's got it backwards. There is no King George. We have a constitution, and we, the people, are the rulers. Tyrannical government, I think, is the problem. And I believe, and many other people do too in the 2nd District, that Courtney has voted for excessive spending, which is going to cost our children and our children's generation the freedom to start businesses and families and to purchase homes, because we're going to be in such debt. We need to stop that. Individual votes we could go through one-on-one, but it's the idea that government should be limited. It should only do what the people can't do for themselves.
Which I would think probably would put you against what they're talking about in terms of health care reform.
I am against government health-run programs. I think that we can reform health care in ways to make it competitive across state lines, to change coverage so that people that need to get coverage and can't today can get it. There are a lot of things that we consider, but having worked in the government for over 10 years at the State Department, I feel very uncomfortable in turning over my health care and that of my parents or my children to a government bureaucrat. I don't see them as being more effective than the private system. Do we need to fix it? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean turning over health care to a bureaucrat that's going to decide based on cost effectiveness whether someone basically lives or dies.
You know how the State Department works, and I'm just wondering your thoughts, because of your experience, on what the president is doing in terms of Afghanistan, Iraq, and what could be down the road in terms of Iran. Where do you think Courtney is on these things, and the president, and how do you either agree or differ from their positions?
Well, you'd have to ask Courtney where he is at on his position on that particular topic, because I think that's changing on a weekly basis due to circumstances in country. I think what we need to do as a nation is whenever we decide to send troops abroad, we need to have a clear-cut mission. We need to know what our goals are. We need to take the politics out of it and let the military decide how to accomplish their mission. And then I think it's up to Congress to provide them, if that is our goal, to be in a particular situation in Afghanistan or Iraq. It's up to Congress to provide our troops with what we need. We shouldn't have our military strung out without having the proper armor or other equipment or ammunition that they need to do their job. I don't think the politicians should be questioning what our military does. The military should make the military decisions. I think we also need to have exit plans, but I think it is a bit ignorant to tell somebody who would be classified as an enemy when you plan on leaving a country. That's basically telling, as any negotiator would know, the other side, well, just hang on, wait a few more months, and then they can do what they want.
You've also had experience in Homeland Security, and of course, air travel now again is of major concern. Can this country do more?
We always can do more. What it comes down to, I believe, is a question of how we balance the freedom of Americans with the security that we want. And that's a tricky thing. We can have total freedom to do whatever we want, carry whatever kind of weapons we want, to do whatever we want to a neighbor. But if that occurs, we lose security. If we tell our neighbors that we're going to have a police state and search everybody, every time, every place, listen in on conversations, then we have problems on the other end. So I think what we need to do is have a good balance in there. We need to secure our state, and we need to protect our freedom.
Daria, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. We'll be talking with you throughout the campaign, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'd love to come back.
Thanks for coming in and being with us on our program.
Thanks very much.